Drawing and quartering. This wasn't just an execution. It was a theater of cruelty designed to destroy both body and soul. Here's how it worked. The condemned would first be dragged through the streets on a wooden hurdle. That's the drawing part. But that was just the warm-up. They'd then be hanged until nearly dead, cut down while still alive, and then, this is where it gets medieval. The executioner would slice open the victim's abdomen and remove their intestines while they were still conscious. Finally, the body would be chopped into 4 pieces, a process known as quartering. The head and limbs would then be displayed around the city as a warning. The most famous victim? Guy Fawkes, though he actually cheated the system by jumping from the gallows and breaking his neck before the real torture could begin. Smart guy, honestly. But if you think that's bad, wait until you hear about Scaphism, also known as the boats. This Persian punishment is so horrifically creative that it almost seems like something out of a horror movie. The victim would be trapped between 2 small boats with only their head, hands, and feet sticking out. They'd be force-fed milk and honey until they developed severe diarrhea. Yeah, this is getting gross. The executioners would then cover the exposed body parts with more honey. Here's where nature becomes the executioner. Insects would be attracted to the honey and the victim's waste. Over the course of days or even weeks, they'd be slowly eaten alive by bugs, maggots, and vermin while developing gangrene and infection. The Greek historian Plutarch described one case where a victim survived 17 days of this torture. 17 days. Just let that sink in. Next up is flaying, and yes, it's exactly what it sounds like. Skinning someone alive. This punishment was used across multiple cultures, from ancient Assyria to medieval Europe. The Assyrians were particularly fond of this method and would often flay conquered rulers in front of their own people. The skin would be removed in strips, starting from the extremities and working inward, ensuring maximum pain and a slow death. But perhaps the most famous case is that of Marsyas from Greek mythology, except this one might be based on real practices. The Assyrian king Ashurbanipal famously had enemy leaders flayed, and their skins were used to cover the walls of his palace. In some cases, the flayed skin would be stuffed and displayed as a warning. The Aztecs also practiced a form of ritual flaying during their religious ceremonies, believing it would honor their gods. Humanity's capacity for cruelty truly knows no bounds. Now let's talk about the Brazen Bull, invented by Perillos of Athens for the tyrant Phalaris of Sicily around 560 BC. This is pure evil genius. Picture a bronze bull, completely hollow inside with a door in the side. The victim would be locked inside, and then a fire would be lit underneath. As the bronze heated up, the person inside would literally be roasted alive. But here's the truly sick part. The bull was designed with a complex system of pipes that would convert the victim's screams into sounds resembling the bellowing of a real bull. So while someone was being cooked alive, their agony was turned into entertainment for the crowds. The irony? Phalaris tested it on its inventor, Perillos, as the very first victim. There's a certain poetic justice there, but it doesn't make the punishment any less horrific. The Vikings gave us the blood eagle, and honestly, this might be the most metal punishment in history, and I mean that in the worst possible way. This was reserved for the most hated enemies, particularly those who had killed Viking rulers. The victim would be placed face down, and the executioner would use an axe to cut along the spine, breaking the ribs away from the backbone. The ribs would then be pulled outward to create the appearance of wings. And finally, brace yourself, the lungs would be pulled out and spread over the wings like bloody feathers. The most famous alleged victim was King Ella of Northumbria, who was supposedly given this treatment by the sons of Ragnar Lothbrok in revenge for their father's death. Whether this actually happened or was just Viking psychological warfare is debated by historians. But the fact that they even invented this concept tells you everything about their intimidation tactics. Impalement, most famously used by Vlad the Impaler. Yes, the inspiration for Dracula. But Vlad didn't invent this. He just perfected it into an art form of terror. The victim would be impaled on a long wooden stake, carefully positioned to avoid vital organs, to prolong the agony. The stake would be planted upright, and gravity would slowly pull the victim down over hours or even days. Vlad allegedly impaled around 20,000 Ottoman soldiers and arranged them in a forest of the impaled outside his castle. When Ottoman Sultan Mehmed II saw this display, he immediately turned his army around and left. Mission accomplished, I guess. But impalement wasn't unique to Romania. The Assyrians used it regularly, and it was practiced in various forms across the ancient world. The key was the slow death. Victims could survive for days, serving as a prolonged warning to others. Crucifixion. This is probably the most famous punishment on this list, primarily because of its religious significance. But from a purely historical perspective, it was designed to be one of the most prolonged and public forms of execution possible. The Romans didn't invent crucifixion. That honor goes to the Persians. But they perfected it as a tool of terror and social control. It wasn't just about killing someone. It was about humiliation, prolonged suffering, and sending a message to anyone who might oppose Roman authority. The victim would carry their own crossbeam to the execution site, be nailed or tied to the cross, and then left to die slowly from exhaustion, dehydration, and ultimately asphyxiation as their body weight made breathing increasingly difficult. The Romans crucified an estimated 6,000 followers of Spartacus along the Appian Way after crushing his slave rebellion. 6,000 crosses lining a major road. Imagine that psychological impact on anyone considering rebellion. Finally, we have Lingchi, known as death by 1,000 cuts or slow slicing. This Chinese punishment was used for over 900 years until it was finally banned in 1905. The condemned would be tied to a wooden frame, and the executioner would make small, precise cuts all over their body. The goal wasn't to kill quickly, but to remove flesh piece by piece while keeping the victim alive as long as possible. There were actually detailed manuals describing the proper sequence of cuts to maximize suffering while preventing early death. Different crimes warranted different numbers of cuts, anywhere from a few dozen to several thousand. This wasn't random torture. It was systematic, methodical, and considered a legitimate form of justice for the worst crimes like treason or killing one's parents. The precision required was considered a skilled craft, and executioners took pride in their ability to prolong the process. If you found this as horrifyingly fascinating as I did, hit that like button, subscribe for more dark history, and ring the notification bell. Next week, we're exploring something a little lighter, I promise. Until then, be grateful you live in the 21st century. Trust me on that one.